I don't like getting shut out. Nobody likes watching that. Last night for both teams was very quiet, just impotent offensive baseball. Yanks have been shut out 5 times this year. Here's the bottom line with the New York Yankees, though, Sal. As we go through, the later part of the spring, early phase of the summer, late summer and into early fall, the Yankees will be in a position to do what I think most of us thought they would be in a position to do when they went down to Tampa in February, and that is to win a World Series. The Yankees are going to win 90-something games, 94, 95. At that point, Jason Dominguez will be back in the lineup. At that point, Soto will be top 2, top 3 in the MVP. At that point, Judge will be pursuing 40-something bombs when it's all said and done. And the Yankees offense will be fine.
Yeah, I have major concerns about it. I mean, we've talked about this, over the last couple of weeks here. And then again, to me, there's no greater example than just scoring 30 runs in consecutive games in Milwaukee, looking like the Bronx Bombers, looking like the Mashers. Now, you don't expect them to score 15 runs every game, but can you score a run? How does this team, how have they gotten shut out 5 times already? They have Soto and Judge healthy in the same lineup, and they've gotten shut out 5 times. Too inconsistent. Now, you credit Baltimore. And by the way, this is a barometer series here. You want to see the Yankees come out and score some runs here.
Sure.
I mean, losing a game is one thing. Getting blanked is another. You credit Baltimore pitching. They've been good, but that's my concern. We saw this even with Arizona. We saw it a little bit with Toronto, where the Yankee bats, BT, against some solid pitching, they could be shut down. And not to go all the way to the postseason already, as we're about to get into May, so you don't want to start talking about October, but the Yankees are going to be in October. So my concerns are that it's the same old stuff with the Yankees. While they'll be in the playoffs, can they actually hit in the playoffs? What they do generally in the regular season, be a bully offense, mash the bad teams and the bad pitching, and then the good pitching shuts them down. That's unacceptable.
Listen, that style of play has not worked in a long time. I don't like it. I do agree that the bully ball, so to speak, it's not sustainable. Cranking out 10, 11, 12 runs against bad mid-level staffs. It's fool's gold, because then you get to October, you face good pitchers, and, it's, 3, 4 hits, 11, 12 strikeouts. We've seen it time and time again, and you go nowhere with that. I agree. Listen, but here's why I think it's going to get better. There's 3 players, and it's not Soto, it's not Judge. There's 3 players to me that will largely determine how far this Yankees offense goes. One is Volpe, one is Gleyber Torres, as one is Verdugo. Now,
have you looked at Volpe's average in a while?
No, it's not good. It's not good. The
guy was hitting 500 to start the year, which nobody expected. He's not hitting 272. Dropping like a rock at the top of the order.
No, he has to look good. I'm not saying he's played well lately. He has not. Booted a ball last night as well.
Yep.
Now the league's making some adjustments to the adjustments that he made in the offseason, flatten out his swing, and he's going to have to figure this stuff out. Otherwise, he's just not going to be the player that we thought he would be, and I think that he will be the player that we think he will be. So I'm not incredibly worried about Volpe, although I don't like what I see, as Sal says. It's true. He's been cold for a while.
For the record, I'm not worried about him long-term either, but I mean, you saw a red-hot start where we're starting to talk about him being one of the best players in the league. Yeah. All-star this, MVP that, and he moved.
No, he's been chilly. Yeah. No, Sal, he's been absolutely chilly. But again, I think it comes down to 3 players. I think you know what you're going to get from Soto and Judge. I think that even though he's a little up and down, that Rizzo, I don't love him in a 4-hole, but I think Rizzo's fine. I think 3 parts: the Volpe aspect, the Verdugo aspect, which I think will absolutely flourish when it's all said and done. He wasn't there last night, paternity leave. And I really think the key here is Gleyber Torres. And that's probably not a good thing if you're not a big Gleyber Torres fan, as I'm not. But he's shown a little bit of sign of life lately. The Yankees, to me, are like every other team. If you fixate on the deficiencies, you can do a 4-hour show on why they'll never, they won't even win 90 games. I think the answer is probably somewhere in between. But this team, I get it. I know it's frustrating. And by the way, it's not like the Baltimore Orioles were knocking the balls around left and right. If Volpe doesn't kick that ball in the 9th inning up the middle, with something I don't think I've ever seen him do on the play that easy, then the Orioles only score 1 run themselves. And the first home run of the game was the leadoff batter on a I think that was a curveball that didn't really get down, or a slider. So it's like the Orioles were rocking Clark Schmidt either. Yanks are good. I think that we can overreact to these shutouts. And I'm not saying that you ignore them. I'm not saying that. And I've never
5 times in the first.
I know.
Like if you and I were to make a bet before the season started, saying how many times this team would be shut out over the course of the year, I probably would have went under 5.
What was the number? Do you know off the top? Did they say it last night during the broadcast? I didn't hear him say it. I feel like it was. I think it was high single digits. I could be wrong on that.
Like Yankees.
No, it's weird. It's weird.
A healthy lineup with Soto being in there.
Yep.
You'd say no. 5 times in the first month. It's too inconsistent. These last 3 games, perfect example. BT 30 runs in 2 games, 0 runs the following.
Okay,
game.
but what's the real reflection? That's interesting. And again, runs and bunches generally are not good.
Right.
But if you're good enough, and they scored 6 games the the Friday night game that they lost, so 36 runs in 3 games against a pretty good Brewers team. Are the Yankees that team, or are they the team last night? I don't think they're either. I think they're right in the middle.
Right, but over the course of a postseason series, and that's what matters, they could find themselves on the short end. I want consistency, and for whatever reason, this lineup, and look, you can look to Judge, and you could say Judge is fine. We talked about this at 50 at-bats. We talked about this at 80 at-bats. It's now 113 at-bats this year. He's hitting 212. Mm-hmm. It's a month of a season. Aaron Judge
was hitting 180 a couple of weeks ago. I'm not saying he's fully out of it yet, but
I mean,
but 3 home runs the last 5-6 games, 8-9 hits. He's coming around. He was batting 175 a couple of weeks ago.
Understood, but for a guy who hits around 300 or 280 even,
that's not good enough. No, he's got to get his act in gear.
I mean, there's only 6 months of the season. He's had one awful one that he's been healthy for. This is not normal to what we've seen from Aaron Judge, and I don't trust Rizzo or Stanton. Yes, Verdugo, I like. The catching spot's been a 0. If Volpe cools off, there's no LeMahieu. The Yankees lineup right now is not. I guess the bigger point is it should be better and more consistent with the names that they had, with the way that they started the season. It has been a disappointment here after that initial red-hot start.
All right, Sal, 877-337-6666. BT and Sal here on the Fan. Brandon Tierney, Sal Licata Show. We'll do those Knicks later. Don't worry. Let's get to you, 877-337.
The championship Knicks.
That's right, 6666. The journey has started. We will silence my partner round by round, and then we will not invite him to the parade. We're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends of Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Yep. Offense was frustrating last night. There's been too many nights where they've done nothing. I think they'll be fine. There's some reason for concern. Don't overreact. I mean, the Yankees, they got enough sticks, I think. And you got to incorporate Dominguez coming back, which he obviously will.
That could be a big difference.
That's going to be a massive difference. I'm not counting on Spencer Jones this year, but obviously Dominguez can change things up. Matty in West Islip with BT and Sal. Matt, what's going on, Matt?
What's up, fellas? Just want to talk Yanks, but absolutely, let's go Knicks.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Stand up, Matty.
Yeah, totally psyched. We're due, long overdue for this. But on to the Yanks, man. I want to not overreact. I understand, black and white. We're going tons of runs and then no runs. But that happens over the course of a season. 162 games, man. I mean,
they get shut out 5 times. It's the first month. It's not just the course of the season.
Right. You just answered your own question. It's the first month. A lot of things happen. We're getting really caught up on this 5 shutout number. I mean, what does that?
Well, but Matty, listen, hold on, Matt. But Matt, hold 1 sec. I'm going to let you finish here. You can't obscure the fact. Let's at least be fair. Like, I think the Yankees' offense will be fine. I don't love it, but you can't gloss over 5 shutouts. It's not even
I'm not
May
necessarily
yet.
glossing over it. But what does it indicate? I don't think
know.
It indicates
What do you think it indicates?
That they're bipolar at times, and they're going to find their groove. They'll be more consistent. Over the course of the season, what team has a consistent, 70% winning percentage?
Nobody, Matt. It's not about that, Matt. It's not about the sheer volume of wins. Thanks for the call, bud. Sal, correct me if I'm wrong. Nobody's talking about the Yankees' record.
No,
it's how they've gotten there and. The bumps in the road, I'm going to give you this. The bumps in the road are alarming. The ones that, surface, every week or so, roughly. 5 shutouts is, you can't ignore 5 shutouts in late April. You can't do that.
The inconsistency is maddening. The Yankees have a lineup that is built to rock. They are built to go out there and win a World Series, and yet we watch it night in, night out, and certain nights it looks like this team could beat anybody. Look at this team. They're clicking on all cylinders. And by the way, I don't expect 15 runs, obviously, in back-to-back games or, the amount of output that they had in Milwaukee. That was an aberration, of course, but it shows you their potential. Can you meet somewhere in the middle? I mean, think about this. You think the Yankees lineup is better than the Mets?
Right now, yeah.
How come the Mets, they've only been shut out 2 times, is that correct? I mean,
I'm not sure of the number.
Yeah, 2 times the entire year. The Mets, who were almost no hit out of the gate, 0-5 to start, looked like they couldn't buy a hit. They've been shut out twice, I believe. We had Hoff look that up. Twice the entire season.
Okay.
And the Yankees yet 5. It just doesn't add up. Like, there's got to be some level of consistency, especially when, like, if Soto or Judge weren't playing, all right, it happens. Soto and Judge healthy in the same lineup, shut out 5 times? How?
Well, the shutouts are one aspect. And, by the way, when the Mets score 36 runs in 3 games, I'll be impressed. Like,
right.
the high-end capability of the Yankees, I don't think anybody's going to debate that it certainly soars past the Mets.
But that doesn't mean anything, and it's a great point that you bring up. You're right. The Mets can't do that, right?
Yep.
They can't.
Well, they haven't done it yet.
No, but they don't even have the ability to do what the Yankees did in that 3-game series.
No.
But yet, they also haven't been shut out as much as the Yankees
But they've come close, Sal. I mean, they've had, going back to the West Coast trip, they had 0 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, 2 run, 1 run. I mean, I get it. Like, we can fixate on the literal number 0. That doesn't matter as much to me. I just need some more consistency. And listen, talk about, I use the word obscure. We can obscure the main point right here. If Aaron Judge doesn't consistently get his act together, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how many radio segments we do about what the Yankees might be, what they could be, what they should be, with, Volpe doing this and Torres waking up and Dominguez coming back and maybe Spencer Jones. If Aaron Judge, an absolute, undeniable, flat-out, grade-A, superstar, dynamic stud, does not have an Aaron Judge season, then the Yankees won't be what they're fully capable of.
But don't you think that's a problem? Because we thought the addition of Soto would change that. And forget about even in the offseason.
Well, it has, because think about this. If Soto wasn't here, the Yankees might be 8-13.
Right, but
he has changed it.
Understood, but we thought in the beginning, look at what they're doing with Juan Soto, even with Judge doing nothing. And here we are a month later, and Judge is still doing nothing, and now you're just saying, and I agree with you, if Judge doesn't get going, they're in trouble here. Not just for the Yankees will make the playoffs.
Yeah, you're talking about big picture.
Yeah,
no, I got you. I don't disagree with that part.
I don't know about the division. We'll find out. So far, the barometer series, as I'm calling it here in Baltimore, the O's have the first one. Now, the Yankees can win the next 3. We'll find out, and it's early season. It doesn't really mean that much, but the Yankees, these are important games against a good team. This is a good early season measuring stick, and in the first game against Baltimore, in a ballpark that the Yankees usually produce runs in, they get shut out in the first game. It just shows the inconsistency of this team. And yes, I have concerns not about August or June or September, about October. Now, where I watched this team the first week of the season, I thought, man, get them to the playoffs.
Because they look different. Their at-bats were more of the grind variety.
So how did that change so quickly?
I don't know. Sal, I wish I had the answer for you. I'm not saying I like what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. But I do think, I want to get back to that Soto point. And we'll get back to these calls here, obviously. BT and Sal on the Fan. The thing about Soto, the great part about his addition, well, there's 2 aspects. Number one, when Judge and Soto, really Soto and Judge based on the batting order, when they're flowing together, the Yankees are going to be almost an unstoppable. Like when they are both in the zone, and there'll be a few times this year where they're both in the zone simultaneously, the Yankees are going to destroy every pitching staff. Okay, now that might only be for a 2-week blip here or 2-week blip there, but it's going to happen a couple of times. But to me, the more beneficial aspect of having Soto is that when Judge is down, or God forbid, really the bigger fear, if Judge is hurt, then Soto is able to do what last year's Yankees couldn't do when Judge went down and when he ran into the wall in Dodger Stadium, because they had nothing else around them. And on a lower level, Verdugo, some of the other additions, and hopefully the return of Dominguez. But I really believe that without Juan Soto, instead of being 19-11, you can make a case the Yankees are 11-19.
Right.
So I'm hanging on the fact that Judge will go back to being Judge. And if he's not that guy, then we have problems. Let me get Bill in Palm Beach County, BT and Sal. Billy, what's happening?
Yeah, good morning, boys. I hope you can hear me. I'm on speaker. I'll take it off if you want.
Billy, we got you. Fire away, kid. You're good.
Okay. All right, 3 quick points. First, number one, about these Yankees. What's different this year than it has been for the last 3 years? One, I'll let you talk. Second, on Friday night, Stanton comes up and gets a nice double to the gap, and he's on second base, and the Yankees go up by a run.
Yeah.
They got to take him out. Then they got to move a guy who never played third base. They got to put him at third base. Why? Because they don't have a guy on the bench that they could put at first base, because they took Rizzo out, so they had Cabrera at third. Every time Stanton's on the field, He's a liability. You
Agreed,
need
1,000%. He can't run the base. He's just not a baseball player.
He took away a hit from Austin Wells last night. It's like a little league play.
You can't.
No.
They got to move on from Stanton.
Let me make my point, and I'll hang up.
Yeah, Bill.
One. You need two guys and him. He takes up 3 roster spots. The guy can't play anywhere. He can't run.
We already know this. We know that about Stanton. He's
But he's
one-dimensional.
right, BT. It's a problem.
Well,
Stanton,
my last point.
Go ahead quickly, Bill, please.
yeah,
My
a lot
last
of points.
point, and I'll get off.
Come on, bud.
They got 15 runs off a guy who was a journeyman pitcher who's been in the league since 2014.
Okay.
Sunday they banged up a guy who made his 3rd start in the major leagues. They come up against a pitcher they can pitch last night. They get shut out. J.P. Sears shut him out for 6 innings last week. 6 innings. Okay. They can't hit anybody that can throw pitches. If you think it's any different this year than it has been for the last 5, well, you know what? Maybe I should sell you guys the Brooklyn Bridge.
Well, no, but Bill, hold on.
Anyway, have a great
Thanks
day.
for the call. But Bill, it is different. Now, nobody's saying that it's different enough to be perfect or the answer in October, but it is different. Starting with the fact that the Yankees actually have a left fielder. I mean, you start with that. So it is different. It's different. Now,
Certain individuals, like I do agree, Verdugo has been a nice addition to this lineup. Right, a guy who could put the bat
Wish
on the
he
ball.
played last night.
Right, well, right, they need him, and they're not whole. But I mean, things happen.
I got you.
Things happen throughout the course of the year, and then let's say Verdugo comes back and somebody else gets hurt. Like that's just a part of it. Unfortunately,
True.
I'm with Bill in that it is starting to feel the same. Now, obviously, with Soto, it's a significant difference, and you could bring in Verdugo as well. Maybe Dominguez comes back. Maybe they add. I'm sure they will, and it will look different. But right now, I still have the same concerns, and I really think it comes down to me, 2 or 3 guys: Rizzo, Glaber, and Stanton. Stanton is a major problem, BT. You saw it last night. He can't do anything. He is a liability. He's going to run into some fastballs and hit some home runs. Great. The Yankees don't need that. They need a ball player. They need that spot to be more versatile and more open, especially when Dominguez comes back healthy here. You want to have Judge DH a little bit, reconfigure that outfield, have Grisham play a little bit in center, keep Verdugo on left. Like, you win more ball games like that than relying on the occasional Giancarlo Stanton closing his eyes and hitting a home run. He's on the base paths. He's a liability. He can't play a position, and he clogs up the DH spot. He is a problem.
There's a reason why I've been screaming about Stanton for years. I wish, with all due respect, I wish he was gone. He is a massive issue. The roster construction is not where it needs to be. But I think the reason why I've kind of laid off of Stanton, number one, he's still here, so I can scream all day until they buy him out or whatever. It's not going to change anything because everybody knows what Sal just said. Everybody knows that. I mean, he's on first base, ball in the gap, can't score. On second base, base hit hard, hit to the outfield, can't score. And now it's gotten to the point where when he's on first base and a poor catcher who's hit 6 balls with over 95-mile-per-hour exit velo that have all been caught, none of those 6 balls have gone for hits. Austin Wells is actually hitting some bad luck. Now we're at the point where he hits a rocket off the first baseman's mitt, and like 9-year-old kids, he gets thrown out at second base, Stanton, because he can't move. I understand, but I don't go nuts over him because I don't think that they will rely on him as much as they did when it's all said and done. And if Dominguez comes back and Dominguez ain't it, if those 8 games a year ago were a flash in the pan and he's a stiff, which I don't believe at all, well, then they're all going to rely on Giancarlo Stanton more. But I think that the Yankees offense you see now, which is not whole and not good enough, not consistent enough, I'm giving you that. Not good enough, not consistent enough. But this is not the lineup that's going to play in October. And if it is, then they're not winning a World Series yet again.